All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development program, and in particular the AWD 1111.NET Framework with Web Databases course, I have been going through a series of, or creating a series of, video presentations for the textbook that will be used for the AWD 1111 class in the fall 2019 semester. That book being Pro ASP.NET MVC 5 and A-Press text by Adam Freeman. I'm working my way through Chapter 11, and I got this error that said an error occurred during the compilation. An expression tree may not contain a dynamic operation. Now, not sure if this is why I got the error or not. Put all the code in, except unbeknownst to me, there is, thought at least there was. Where are we? We're on 287. I want to be on the next page. Okay. I'm a little goofed up here. So we finished up here, updating the product repository. All right. And that was on the bottom of page 288. In fact, before we even get there, I did put in all of this. Okay, that was correct. It's a variation of the metadata. All right, we should see this, but I'm getting an error message, and I am getting an error message rather than this, and the error message that I'm getting, I put in all of the code that they showed there, ending with a panel footer and the div. I believe I've got everything in there, ending with a panel footer and a div. All right. But I'm getting an error message right here that says an expression tree may not contain a dynamic operation. So it does not like the fact that in this hidden for, what we have in here is we have a lambda expression. And it doesn't like the fact that we're using a lambda expression in here. All right. Now, I'm not sure as we go on if that problem is going to persist, or if something that we're going to do a little later is going to fix it. So I am going to go on. All right, just so you're aware of that. So I didn't get this. I'm hoping to in just a couple minutes. Updating the product registry on the bottom of page 288 and going on to page 289. The author says here, before I can process edits, I need to enhance the product repository so that it is able to save changes. First, I will add a new method to the iProduct repository interface as shown in figure 11.9. As a reminder, you find this in the abstract folder of the domain. And I don't want to copy everything. I'm getting too tired. It's too easy to make a mistake in here. So let's see. We want to go to our domain. And go to concrete. And we want the EF product repository, which is right here. All right, so let's make our changes. First thing we want to do is right up near the top where we've got this public interface. It does not look like the same file. We don't have an iProduct repository .cs file. public interface. We don't have any of this. Namespace. According to this, it's in the abstract. There we are. Oh, hello. So under this IEnumerable, we want to add here void save product, not project, product. Okay. I can then add a new method to the entity framework implementation of the repository, and that is what is right here. Okay. Now the reason we're getting that error is because this is an interface. So what we said is anyone who implements this interface needs a saved product. It's implementing the interface, but there's no saved product. Well, as you probably guess, that's what we're going to add now. And I will copy that out of the book. That is down toward the bottom of page 289. The implementation of this save changes method adds a product to the repository if the product ID is 0. Otherwise, it applies any changes to the existing entry. The author says, I do not want to go into details of the entity framework because, as I explain later, it is a topic in itself and not part of the MVC framework. But there is something in the save product method that has a bearing on the design of the MVC application. All right, let me jump back to the text here. Okay, and I'm right on the top, as you can see here, of page 290. I know I need to perform an update when I receive a product parameter that has an ID that's not 0. I do this by getting a product object from the repository with the same product ID and updating each of its properties so they match the parameter object. I can do this because the entity framework keeps track of the objects that it creates from the database. The object path to save changes is created by the MVC framework using the default model binder, which means that the entity framework does not know anything about the parameter object and will not apply an update to the database. There are lots of ways of resolving this issue, and I have taken the easiest one, which is to locate the object that the entity framework does know about and update it explicitly. Another way to have done this, as the author says right here, would have been to create a custom binder that only obtains objects from the repository. It may seem more elegant, but it is really more work. All right, so 290, handling edit post requests. The author says, at this point, I'm ready to implement an overload of the edit action method for the admin controller that will handle post requests when the administrator clicks the save button. All right, so we're going to have to add this new method that's shown here and on the next page into our admin controller file. All right, so we've got this edit here. Now we're going to add more. Okay. A little bit more code on the top of page 291. That's why we're getting the error message right now. Okay. Now, the author says here, I check that the model binder has been able to validate the data submitted by reading the value of the model state.isValid property. If everything is okay, I save the changes to the repository and invoke the index action method to return the user to their list of products. If there's a problem with the data, we render the edit view again so the user can make their changes. After we save the changes, we store a message using the temp data. Now, we've used ViewBag before. There's ViewBag, there's view data, and there's temp data. The main difference between them, view data and ViewBag can virtually be used simultaneously. All right? But both of them only last during the current call or whatever you'd call it, whereas temp data will last longer. All right? Temp data basically is a key value dictionary that's similar to session data. But temp data will be deleted at the end of the HTTP request. Again, we cannot use ViewBag here because the user is being redirected. And ViewBag passes the data between the controller and the view. And we can't hold the data for a longer time than the current HTTP request. So that would not work. All right. There is a unit test on 291 to the middle of 292, which I'm not going to again go through. All right. On page 292, halfway down on the page here, displaying a confirmation message. We've looked at this earlier, not the same exact scenario, but how to do this at an earlier time. I'm going to deal with a message I stored using temp data in the admin layout CS HTML. By handling the message in the template, we can create a message in any view that uses the template without needing to create additional razor code. So we want to go into our admin layout, and right after the body starts, let's get rid of this for now. All right. Now we can add back. No, I don't want to do that. Now we want to add back in here the at renderer body. We want to close the div. Well, we already have, sorry. Okay. All right. The author says here that the benefit of dealing with a message in the template is that the users will see the message displayed on whatever page is rendered after they've saved a change. At the moment, I return them to the list of products, but that could change at a later time. I now have all the pieces in place to edit products. To see how this works, start the app, navigate to the index URL page, make some edits. Click the Save button and see if we're returned to the list view. All right, I'm hoping I'm not still going to get the error I had before. So File, Save All, and let's go back to our index page right here. Now, one thing to realize, if I do get that same error, all right, the fact that I'm using that lambda that I mentioned to you before, this book was written 4 or 5 years ago. Things may have changed since that time. So if that is the case, what I'm going to have to do is to research that and see if I can figure out what the problem is. See, it still is there. So rather than finishing this up right now, I'm at 15 minutes, so I'm going to stop, see if I can debug this error. Put the whole error in here. In fact, let's do this while you're all hopefully watching. Go back into here. and I'm going to put in here ASP.NET error. Expression tree may not contain this. All right. Top of the view, it should be this, not this. Should be at model. So at the top of the view, it should be capital M and a lowercase m. Again, I'm going to stop right here and pick it up with the next lecture.